It started out like any normal weekend. My husband, Daniel, had mentioned earlier in the week that his mother, Linda, would be visiting. She hadn't stayed overnight in a while, but I didn't think much of it. I mean, how bad could one weekend be, right? She arrived Friday evening, all smiles, a box of pastries in one hand and her oversized floral suitcase in the other. From the outside, everything looked picture perfect. But deep down, something already felt off. I couldn't put my finger on it then, but I wish I had trusted my instincts. At first, it was little things. The way she scanned the living room like she was taking inventory. How she commented on how quiet it was in her house now, like it was too quiet. She asked questions that didn't feel like small talk, more like digging. So, Daniel still works those late nights, huh? You must get lonely when he's gone. Her tone was sweet, but her eyes held something else. And then there were the passive comments, about the furniture, the food I made, even the candle I had on the coffee table. Lavender? Daniel always hated lavender. It was like she came with an invisible checklist of everything I was doing wrong as a wife. But things only got stranger as the weekend unfolded. That night, I woke up to the sound of faint whispering. At first, I thought maybe she was on the phone with someone back home. But when I got up to check, her door was open, and she wasn't inside. I walked down the hall slowly, my heart racing for no real reason. And there she was standing in the kitchen, facing the wall, mumbling something I couldn't understand. When I asked if she was okay, she turned around quickly and smiled. "Oh, just couldn't sleep," she said, acting like nothing had happened. But her eyes were glassy, and she had this unsettling calm in her voice. Like she was pretending to be someone else. The next day, she started rearranging things. I came downstairs and found the living room furniture moved around completely. "Just making things feel more open," she said with a smile, like it was her house. She even took down our wedding photo from the hallway and replaced it with one of Daniel as a child. When I asked about it, she laughed and said, "Oh honey, I'm just being silly." But I didn't find it funny. Something about her behavior was starting to creep under my skin. She wasn't just visiting, she was inserting herself. Testing boundaries. Watching my reactions. And when I brought it up to Daniel, he brushed it off. "She's just old school," he said. "Don't overthink it." But I wasn't overthinking. Something wasn't right. That night, I saw something I can never forget. Something that made me question everything I thought I knew about his mother, and even my own husband. What I saw changed everything. And that was only the beginning. The moment that burned into my memory happened late Saturday night. I had gone downstairs to get some water. The house was quiet, lights off, except for a faint glow coming from the guest room where Linda was staying. I paused outside her door, not intending to listen, but I heard something strange. Not talking, chanting. Low, rhythmic, and steady. It didn't sound like a phone call or a TV. It was like she was reciting something. My body froze. I didn't know whether to knock or walk away, but before I could decide, the chanting stopped. Silence. Then, the door creaked open on its own. No one stood there. Just the dim light inside and the shadow of her open suitcase on the bed, full of things that didn't look like weekend clothes. I stepped back, heart pounding. I didn't go in. I couldn't. I just rushed back upstairs and locked our bedroom door, something I had never done before in our own home. Daniel was asleep, completely unaware. I lay there wide-eyed, listening for any sound, any movement. I didn't sleep at all. By morning, she acted like nothing had happened. She made pancakes, humming to herself in the kitchen like she hadn't spent the night muttering in a dark room. I tried to talk to Daniel again, but he was growing impatient. "She's harmless," he insisted. "She's eccentric, not dangerous." But how could he explain the symbols I found later that afternoon etched into the guest room mirror? Faint, almost wiped away. Like someone didn't want to leave evidence but missed a spot. I started to wonder, was I losing my mind? Or was she hiding something no one else wanted to see? All I knew was, the longer she stayed, the more twisted everything became. I started going through my own house like a stranger, noticing things that had changed without me realizing. A drawer in the study was half open, one I rarely used. Inside, papers were shuffled around, and a small family photo of mine was gone. In the kitchen, my favorite mug had somehow broken and been thrown out. Linda just shrugged and said, "It slipped, honey. These things happen." But they were all little pieces of me being erased, slowly, subtly. At first, I thought I was just being paranoid. But then I found my journal tucked behind a stack of towels in the laundry room. I hadn't left it there. And some pages were missing. Daniel still didn't see it. He was either too distracted or too loyal. I couldn't tell. Every time I tried to bring up what I'd noticed, he would sigh and say I was letting my imagination run wild. "She's just trying to help," he said. "She means well." But there was something unspoken in his voice, something he wasn't telling me. And that's when I started wondering, was he really unaware? Or was he part of this in some way? One afternoon, while Linda was out for a walk, I checked her suitcase. I didn't want to, but I needed answers. Inside, I found a small wooden box, locked. Next to it was a photo of Daniel, not a recent one, but from childhood, marked with symbols in red ink. I felt sick. I put everything back exactly as it was and closed the suitcase, heart racing. That night, she stood outside our bedroom door for over 10 minutes. I saw her shadow under the light. She didn't knock. She didn't move. Just stood there. Waiting. And somehow, that was worse than anything she could have said. Sunday evening arrived, and with it, an eerie stillness in the house. The kind you feel in your bones before something goes wrong. Linda was supposed to leave in the morning, but part of me felt like she had no plans of going anywhere. I couldn't relax, couldn't think straight. I kept checking doors, glancing over my shoulder, trying to stay calm while acting normal. Even the air felt heavier, like the walls were holding secrets. Daniel had gone out to run errands, leaving me alone with her. I tried to stay in the living room, phone in hand, pretending to scroll, but I could hear her in the guest room, moving things, opening drawers, whispering to herself. Then it went silent. Completely silent. I waited a few minutes, then finally stood and slowly made my way down the hall. Her door was cracked open. I peeked inside, expecting to see her unpacking or reading. But what I saw stopped me cold. The lights were off, candles lit in a circle on the floor, and in the center, my missing journal pages, burned at the edges, placed carefully around that strange locked wooden box. Linda stood over them, eyes closed, murmuring something I couldn't understand. I stepped back quickly, the floor creaked, and her eyes snapped open. She looked straight at me, like she'd known I'd come. Neither of us said anything. She just smiled. A slow, quiet, knowing smile. "You really shouldn't go through other people's things," she said softly. Her voice was calm, but every word felt like a warning. I backed away, my pulse thudding in my ears. That night, I couldn't sleep. Not because of what I'd seen, but because I realized I had no idea what she truly wanted. And now, I wasn't sure if Daniel did either. The next morning, Linda acted like everything was fine, too fine. She cheerfully made coffee, folded blankets, even offered to help with the laundry. It was unsettling how completely normal she was pretending to be. But what truly sent chills down my spine wasn't her behavior, it was the fact that the wooden box, the burned pages, the candles, everything from last night had vanished. The guest room looked untouched, like nothing had ever happened. When I tried to talk to Daniel again, he grew defensive. "You're letting your stress get the best of you," he snapped. "She's my mom. She's just trying to be part of our lives." That's when it hit me, he really believed that. Or maybe, he needed to believe that. But then something happened that neither of us could ignore. That afternoon, a letter came in the mail. Handwritten, no return address. It was addressed to me. Daniel was standing right beside me when I opened it. Inside was a single sheet of paper, with one chilling sentence: "She's not who you think she is." That was it. No name, no explanation. Daniel laughed it off, saying it was probably a prank. But I could see it in his eyes, he wasn't as calm as he sounded. I went straight to the guest room once Linda stepped out to get some fresh air. This time, I took photos of everything, just in case. But when I checked under the bed, I found something I hadn't seen before. A small, leather-bound notebook. Inside were pages and pages of handwritten notes. My name. My habits. What time I woke up. What I ate. Who I talked to. It was like she had been studying me. Watching me like some kind of experiment. I flipped to the last page and froze. It read, "Monday, she'll be gone by then." The room spun. I didn't know if that meant she planned to leave, or that I would. When I showed Daniel the notebook, his face drained of color. But instead of confronting her, he did something that truly shook me. He locked the notebook in his desk drawer and told me to forget about it. That's when I realized, maybe he knew more than he was saying. And whatever was coming on Monday wasn't just about Linda. It was about both of them. And I was completely alone in this. Monday morning came, and I woke up with a weight in my chest. I hadn't slept properly in days. Every sound in the house had started to feel like a warning. The smell of coffee drifted up from the kitchen. Linda was already awake. I slowly got up, quietly walked to the study, and checked the drawer where Daniel had locked the notebook. It was gone. I knew then I had to confront them. No more doubting myself. No more waiting for something to happen. I walked into the kitchen and found them both sitting at the table, coffee mugs in hand, mid-conversation. They stopped when they saw me. I asked where the notebook was. Daniel didn't respond. Linda simply smiled and said, "It's better you don't read things not meant for you." My heart started racing. I told Daniel I wanted her to leave. Right then. But he just sat there. Quiet. Still. That's when she stood up and placed a small box on the table, the same wooden box I had seen in the circle of candles. She slid it toward me. "Go ahead," she said softly. "You've been curious." Against my better judgment, I opened it. Inside was a delicate silver locket. I picked it up slowly and opened it. What I saw shook me to my core. It wasn't Daniel's photo. It was a photo of me, but not recent. It was me, as a teenager, standing outside my high school. One I hadn't even attended in this state. "How did you get this?" I whispered. Linda's smile faded. "Because I've been watching you for a long time," she said. "Long before you ever met Daniel." I stepped back, my hands trembling. That was the moment Daniel finally spoke. "She's not my biological mother," he said. "She raised me, yes. But she's been in hiding for years. From people like you." The words made no sense. I couldn't process them. What did he mean, people like me? Linda took a deep breath. "You were chosen. You think this was random?" "Nothing about this was random." My mouth went dry. I had stumbled into something much bigger than a mother-in-law's strange behavior. I thought I was the one being haunted by her. But the truth was, this entire time, I was the reason she came. And now, she had what she wanted. I sat there in silence, staring at the photo inside the locket, my mind spiraling. None of it made sense, and yet, deep down, something about it all felt familiar. I had always wondered about the gaps in my childhood, the odd looks from people I barely remembered, the journals my mother once kept and suddenly destroyed before we moved states. I never asked questions back then. I didn't want to. Now I wished I had. Linda's words echoed in my head, "You were chosen." But for what? And by whom? She didn't explain further. Instead, she calmly packed her things, gave Daniel a long, tight hug, and walked out the door like it was just another Monday. No drama. No goodbye to me. She didn't have to. The damage was done. Daniel and I didn't speak for a full day. Not really. When he finally came to me that night, he said, "I didn't know how to tell you. I didn't even know the full story until recently. She started showing me documents, photos, things about your past that didn't add up." I asked why he didn't warn me. His answer was simple. Because I wasn't sure if she was lying, or if everything I ever knew was a lie. In the weeks that followed, life went back to normal on the surface. Linda vanished again. No calls, no letters. The guest room sat untouched, and Daniel quietly removed the locks from all the drawers. But I never felt the same. I started questioning everything, my past, my choices, even my marriage. We stayed together, but something between us had shifted. The strange part? I still don't know what she meant when she said she got what she wanted. Nothing obvious changed. But maybe that's the point. Maybe the truth she planted that day was the real twist, the seed of doubt. The kind that grows quietly in the background until it becomes something you can't ignore. I shared my story not to scare anyone, but because I know I'm not alone. Sometimes, the people we trust most, like a spouse, or even a mother-in-law, carry secrets bigger than we imagine. If your instincts ever tell you something's off, listen to them. That weekend changed my life forever. And even now, every time the doorbell rings, a part of me wonders if she's coming back. 35.